everyone. Thank you for joining in. My name is Okesonya Olamide, Community Officer at Inkeeper. And today we're going to be having conversations about how to start your career in web development. Joining me in this conversation today is Chidima Mogolo. Chidima is a full stack web developer, a budding AI specialist, and also a facilitator at Inkeeper. Hello, Chidima. Good afternoon.
Hi,
How are
hi.
you today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
It's so nice to have you on board having this conversation. Let's get right to it, right?
Oh,
All right, so tell us, why web dev? Why did you decide to pursue a career in web development? I mean, the other options that you could have chosen for.
okay. So basically, web dev is for me. It had a low barrier of entry, right?
Mm,
So because I actually tried other things, other aspects like mobile dev, like Android.
okay.
So I had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
problems trying to install the application called Android Studio. So it wasn't exactly beginner friendly. So it had for me web dev had a very low barrier. The system specs you need isn't so elaborate,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you could just easily take your time, one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. Though it had its own challenges, but it was quite easy to get into.
That's
That's what I would say.
fantastic. That's interesting. So I understand the fact that the barrier to entry is low, but I also know that there will be some challenges, right? Starting
Yeah.
out. So can you tell us some of the challenges that you face starting out and how you're able to navigate through them?
Okay, so basically some of the challenges that I faced was having to put everything together, like having to
Mm,
see the big picture of how they come together, right? Like, okay, so you learn your HTML, then you
mm-hmm,
learn your CSS to style your HTML, then you learn your JavaScript to make your HTML page interactive, right? So
mm,
yeah, it's easier said right now because of experience in last
exactly.
time. But really, it was, I had a hard time holding them together, like
Mm,
holding the whole thing together without having to forget, oh, now I'm in JavaScript, without having to forget, oh, what happened in HTML again? Oh, what happened in
mm-hmm,
CSS, right? So, like that. So, one of the things that helped me navigate these challenges, right, is
mm-hmm,
basically I just had this knack for keeping at stuff, like
mm-hmm.
very curious, right? So I had my curiosity on my side, right?
Keep it
And I
going.
really wanted this. It's something I really wanted to do. So what that meant was that I'm gonna have to find a way to make it work, right? And then
Interesting.
I also had a community of people I could also ask questions. So that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
You should have that. You should never learn development. It doesn't matter if it's web or mobile or
Mm.
whatever it is. You
You need
have
that
to,
community of people
yes,
around.
yes. You don't learn it in isolation so that you don't get
No
frustrated and
solution. Mm-hmm.
stop your journey halfway, right? So you have to have
Mm-hmm.
grit and community of people to, people you can run to, like, hey, I've tried all I can and it's not working. Can you help me out here? So that's basically how I navigated the challenge.
Mm, fantastic. So curiosity is one thing, having the grit is another one, and then being a part of a community where you can,
Yeah,
ask questions and they can help you when you have issues. Wow,
yeah.
fantastic. So for someone that wants to start out, right, who is thinking, oh, should I do web development? Should I not do it? What are the opportunities open to them? What are they missing out on?
Okay, I wouldn't really say they are missing out on stuff because at the end of the day, everybody has what's going to speak to them more.
Mm-hmm.
You get it. So so for web dev, actually, there are actually a lot of opportunities, both
Mm,
on the aspect of coding and on the aspect of no code.
mm,
So yeah, so on that aspect, you talk about when you talk about low code, you're talking about things like UI UX design, product design, technical writing, and
mm,
um, a couple of others like that, right? That I don't like have by heart right now to mention. Then on the aspect of code, so when it comes to building an application, right? So you have what we call the front end and the back end, right?
Mm,
So the front end is the part that the users interface with, just like this application
mm-hmm.
right now. So what we can see and everything, it's
Of course.
front end. So there are guys who make sure that everything is properly positioned the way you are seeing it, properly positioned
Mm.
with the appropriate distance, the appropriate designs, and all of that. They write the code to drive that. So these are the front end guys.
Front end,
And
okay.
yeah, so the back end guys are guys that help to connect the front end of the application to the some sort of like a database. So you know when you sign up, actually your details go somewhere. It's stored in some a place known as, permit me for the lack of a better word, a place known as database,
All
right?
right.
So when you sign up, you have it go to the database, and when you sign in, those details are like the details that like your Facebook. Let's use Facebook as an example, right? So
Okay.
when you sign up, right, you have your details go to the back. So when you sign in, you return, you sign in, you have some things fetched, like you see your feeds and
Mm-hmm.
you get it. So there are guys who make sure that these things are properly connected. So
And
the
in
front end
sync
guys,
with each other.
yes, there's a synchrony. Like so, the front end
Mm-hmm.
guys they design this stuff, they make sure it's working, and then the back end guys make sure that the data is properly fetched to the front to the
Mm.
different parts of the front end. So basically, there are also guys who call the full stack. There are people
Okay.
who do both the front and the
And the
back.
back.
Yes, yes. So there are applications that you can actually run full stack with, right? Alone, the applications you can build by yourself, full stack. Well, it would make more sense to actually have a team of people who you work with that do that. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, as a beginner, it's usually advisable that you pick a niche. You get it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can start with building a full stack application. So as you work,
Mm.
you can see one of them speaks to you more. You
Yeah.
get the tendency to flow towards the one that speaks to you more. There are guys who don't like the front end after checking out both front and back, and they decide that they're never going to do front end
That is
ever.
what works for me.
Yeah, and there are guys who, they start out and they're like, that back, I
That
couldn't care
bag
less.
is not for the
I,
weak.
you get so I just want to stay at the front. But whatever part you take, front or back, I want to let us know that it's it's deep. It's deep.
Mm.
If you even
Mm.
if you wanted to do UI UX, you say you're okay, so you don't want any of these guys. You want to go for UI UX, product design. Whatever path you take in tech is deep because there are situations whereby people make others feel like what you're doing is not technical enough.
Mm.
You get
I
because these
get.
are one of the reasons why people have a hard time picking out a niche, front or back, or should I go for product design or should I be a
Mm.
product manager? Or so if you like my friends who feel like I don't know, it doesn't work like that. Any part you take is very
Mm.
technical, very, very technical. So yeah. So you have others, product management and like that, a
Product
whole lot.
design and all that. So,
Yes.
what about this web operation guys
Okay,
or
DevOps.
people like that? Yeah, exactly.
Yes, okay, development operations. So basically, are those guys make sure that when new features are added to applications,
Mm-hmm.
that the application doesn't break.
Mm.
So you don't. So I imagine I wanted to add a new button. So we have this UI I'm looking at right now, and I want to add a new
Okay.
button to the navbar. So, and then I add it, and then probably the chat section of the application just moves to the middle or something, just scatters
Mm,
the
yeah, I
entirety.
get.
Yeah. So those DevOps guys just make sure that things are where they need to be
To
as
be even when
features
the
are
notification is
added.
going on.
Yeah, so you notice your Facebook, the way it looked last year is not the same way it looked this
We
year. But
looked
you didn't even
definitely
know, like you
no
didn't even
the
notice, you
software
almost
didn't
didn't notice
break.
when it happened. So those guys make sure to keep things. in order
Wow.
while updates are going on. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's a very large pool of opportunities for anyone who wants to, venture into
Yeah.
this. But for people who don't have this experience, or they are thinking that, oh, do I have to be a computer science graduate to venture into this? What kind of equipment do I need? Can I even start on my phone for people that don't have a system or something and still make money, or at least just start the journey from there?
Oh, okay. So basically, to learn web dev, I wouldn't say you need an experience, computer science experience or
Okay,
whatever, because I study crop science, agriculture. So
interesting.
yeah, so there are actually people who, you have lawyers too that actually do these
Hmm.
things, right? So basically, the only experience I believe personally that you need is you think every day, right? So
Ability
you
to
think
think.
so you if you have the ability to think, you just need to
Mm,
train it to make it much more, should I say, stronger or something. You just need to, like, exercise. You want to grow
mm-hmm,
muscles, you exercise them. So basically,
mm.
if you know how to think, then you're good to go. If you know
You're
how
good to
to think,
go.
you're good to go. That's one. That's one. That's the first thing you think about, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
the next thing is, like we said before, grit. You
Mm.
want to really, really want to, like, how do I put this now? So the first question I ask people when they say, "Oh, I want to learn web dev, please can you help me?" and stuff like that is, do you really want this? Like,
Mm.
how badly do you want this?
Do you
Because
want it?
you get, because when we have that, right, when certain things start happening, like when you now start getting very funny, weird errors, especially the errors that don't have error message. So the stuff isn't acting the way you want it to act, and then
Hmm.
it's not even giving you a message. That can be very
Mm.
frustrating. That
I
can be
know.
very
I
frustrating.
know.
So the thing is, so do you really want this? Because when certain things start happening, it will take a lot of grit
Mm.
and determination to stay true
Stage here. Mm.
till the end, right? So you have that. Then your ability to, how do I put it this now? To just make connections between things.
Network. Okay.
Yeah, to make connections between things. So when I
Mm.
teach web dev and I'm explaining, oh, so now we've done HTML, now we are in CSS. Don't forget what you did in HTML. We are just
Mm.
taking stuffs from there. We are still on HTML, just that we are making HTML look better. So
Mm.
that connect your ability to draw the connection, because when you do that,
Sean.
it makes it easy for you to really understand what's going on. Do you get it?
Mm.
So okay, so do you need a laptop? Yes, you do. It makes life easier for you. But when I
Mm.
started out, I didn't exactly have a system. So I just went on App Store and I downloaded what's it called? This code editors that you can actually
Oh,
use on your
code
mobile
editors.
phone. And I was
Mm.
trying out the tags, and they actually code editors you can use on your phone. Though it's much better. You have a system. But what happens when you really want this thing? So that's another thing that not just a web developer is supposed to have. A developer generally, be it mobile,
Mm.
ML, machine learning, whatever. Your ability to navigate issues. Do you get?
Mm.
So this is not working. How can I bypass this issue, or how can I solve this issue quickly?
Solve it.
So this is not. So I don't have this to. So is there an alternative I can use?
Use.
Because
Mm.
I think generally we humans have the issue of, like, perfect timing. We want everything to be at
Mm-hmm.
it. There has to be this perfect time. But what if you really want this and you can actually find an alternative? So that's where the phone comes in. I actually had someone who said she actually started out writing on paper.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, so she just writes it out on paper, and then maybe when she gets a system, maybe get to borrow or something like that, she
Mm.
gets to test if the code is working or
Wow.
not. So it all boils down to how badly do
You
you
want.
want is. So it's how badly you want it. You'll be able to navigate through issues as they arise and
Mm.
find alternative routes to things. So yeah,
Mm. Wow, so it means no excuses with everything you said so far. There is actually no excuse not to learn, right?
yeah.
Because you can start from where you are. You can start small as long as you have that grit and you really and like they would say once you want something, there's always a way out. There's always a
Yes,
way out.
exactly. That's yeah, that is true.
So, how long does one need to learn to become a junior web developer?
Okay, so yeah, so I'll take this question is should I use okay, so this is one of the questions I call variables, right? So there's
Mm,
that thing called variables in programming. So but not we're not talking about variables in programming. So it varies from person to person.
mm,
Right. Okay, so the thing is that um when you get started with this thing, right? So the mistake, there's something we call tutorial hell.
okay.
Tutorial hell, right? Or personally, just call it learning pit. You just keep learning, 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 but there is no application of what you're actually learning. So because it's one thing to learn and build applications
Learning.
for yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
another thing to actually build application for clients to use when
Mm.
you in quotes have your heart on the line, like, hey, something just happens right now. Oh,
I can imagine.
what if we experience a downtime? What if so you need to you need to put in quotes, should I say your heart on the line? Like
Mm-hmm.
so what the point is that so most times what people do is that they just keep learning, 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 and the learning just never seems to stop. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is don't get me wrong, I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moment you feel that you are done learning, you are finished. Like your
Of
career is over.
course.
Your
Of
career
course.
is over. The day you decide that you are now, in quotes, an overstacker, your
Mm.
career is over. So you just have to keep that steady heart of learning.
Mm.
I still watch HTML and CSS videos even till today. So yeah. So but what do I mean by not getting into the thing called tutorial hell? So you learn for a while, you get a job that
Mm.
actually gets you to see how these things play out in real life. Because
Mm.
even the personal project you are building, it can go as far as probably, I don't think you can, I'm personally speaking now, I don't think you can do the personal project in quotes. That's up to 1,000 lines or probably 2,000. So you really need to see 5,000 lines, like 1,000 lines and 2,000
Mm-hmm.
lines of code. Do you understand? Like get into the action to see how these things play out. You need to see how it plays out when you are collaborating on a project, right?
Mm.
You are collaborating on a project. Like this person is bringing in his own change, this person, and a lot of things. You really need to see these things play out. So if at
Mm.
all you want to, in quotes, keep learning, at least you have
Mm.
watched how it is real life. Then you take the feedback from that, what you learned from that, will not inform how you now build your curriculum, your personal curriculum to keep
Curriculum.
learning. But just learning, 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 learning without application, you may never, because you hear some people tell you 3 months, some people tell you 6 months, some people tell you 1 year, some people tell you 2 years. I have heard a lot of
What?
variation of years. But yes, this stuff is not easy. But what I have come to see over time is that you need to be learning with the right curriculum to actually be industry relevant. So another question is, why are you even learning this? Some
Mm.
guys actually learn this stuff just to build up personal projects.
True. True.
So yeah. So but whatever it is, my point is that you don't really need so long. Because by the time you learn for so long, say okay, you want to learn for 6 months, 1 year. Of course, 6 months maybe because you are busy with something else,
Mm.
right? So there's
Mm-hmm.
that factor now. So I'm now talking. I'm not talking about other factors like okay, maybe you are busy with something else. I'm saying okay, this is just all you're doing. So you
Mm-hmm.
want to learn and actually practice. That's when you really, really know that you really, really understand. Because if you're going to
Understand
spend,
what you've learned.
do you understand? So if you're going to spend like 6 months, 1 year learning, by the time you're ready to join industry,
Mm.
things would have moved.
True, true.
Do you get it? Things would have
Mm-hmm.
moved from where it used to be to
Mm-hmm. Where it
so
is
what you
now.
use in yeah. So what you use a technology version you use for this project might the version might change.
And then now you
Right?
have to not learn all over again.
So you may not necessarily learn all over again, right? But you have really missed out on seeing how that is in production in code.
Mm.
So we
That's
have one
true.
called production environment and we have the development environment. So my
Mm.
point is the summary of everything I just said now is that you don't need so long to
Mm.
learn. Don't stay in that phase of consistent, just all learning and no actual implication of your learning, no
Of your
actual
learning.
practice. So it's one thing to build personal projects, it's another thing to actually work for clients,
Mm.
work with other developers, and you are pushing the code live so that people can
Mm.
actually use. So if that's
Use.
your goal, you don't want to spend too long learning. You
Mm.
get so that's it for me.
Wow, that's some profound truths that you just dished out, and I'm sure someone is going to be helped by that because there's this tendency of wanting to learn until the perfect time, and then you now tell
Yeah.
yourself, "I'm ready for the market," and then you now get to
Mhm.
the market and receive that shocker that
Mhm.
there's something new, there's something
Yeah.
new out there. So yeah,
Mm.
I totally agree with that. So what kind of skill sets do you think that a beginner needs to succeed in this field? So for
Okay,
someone that is starting
mhm.
out.
So basically, for people that are starting out, the skill set, we discuss them. Great. Do you really want this thing? You need to count the cost before you come. So the cost,
Mm,
it sounds scary the way I'm saying it, but really it's not. Right? It's not scary. So the point is, do you really want this thing? Are you ready to stick it through till the end, no matter what happens?
mm,
Do you understand? Because really, the learning curve would have been very quick. But for the fact that we have those errors that
mm.
you have to answer
Pop up.
to,
Mm,
yeah. So basically, the debugging thing, and so if you're not someone who have made up their mind that this is what they really want, there are some bugs that can discourage you, and you don't want to learn again. Do you understand? So you need
mhm,
to have that ability to stick it, stick with
mm,
it till the end. So number one, you really want this thing. Two, you are ready to go all out to solve a problem. So you have to have that problem solving
solving
mindset,
mindset.
that orientation. And
Mm-hmm.
because there's this thing, so there's this weird mindset that non tech people have, this
Mm.
weird mindset. So some of them may not say it. And I think some tech people too do have that. They just, somewhere at the back of their mind, they feel that tech guys are magicians.
Yeah, I
So
get, I get.
you should, man, I don't care how you get it done. Just get it done.
Get it
Like, do
done.
you understand? You're a magician.
Yes.
Like, I just expect. So they might not say it, but you can see it in their attitude. Like,
Mm.
I had someone say something like, someone was asking, "Is it not just a button?" And like, so it's not
Oh.
just a come and code it for me. It's just a
Oh
button.
boy.
So it's not about writing the code that is going to show the button. How about
Mm-hmm.
positioning the button and all of that?
Mm.
Do you get it? How about making the button actually do what you want it to do? So when I
To
click on it, is it going
do.
to submit or is it going to do something? So how about getting to do all of that? So the complexity behind it, customers don't see that, clients don't see that,
Mm-hmm.
even bosses don't see that.
They
They
only
just
see
see
the
the
finished product.
did you get it? So you're a magician. So are you ready to, in quote, be a magician? So for you to so for you to be a magician, right? You have to, yeah, you have to have that, that ability to that problem solving mindset.
Problem
You have
solving
to have
mindset.
that.
Yeah.
That's one. That's another one. Then you have this thing where you have to be curious,
Mm.
right? You have to be really, really, really curious. So something I used to do when I was learning, there are times I intentionally introduce bugs to see how these
Mm.
things will act. Then I
Mm.
learned something from that. Like I want to know, okay, so why? Why did he act like this?
Mm.
So the thing is, other bugs may come up that don't even look like that, but
Mm-hmm.
somehow it's going to be related, right? So
Of
basically,
course.
you have to be someone who is curious.
Mm.
Yes, I'm not saying that there are guys who aren't curious and they are doing well, but these are some of the things that will make you stand out. So
Mm.
for example, as a front end developer, can you look at a web page, or can you look at someone is developing something and things are not properly aligned? Can you look at it and say, oh, you are missing a margin somewhere? Adjust the
Mm.
margin here, adjust the padding there. Oh, you need to remove the padding from here and stuff from there. So, but the thing is, when you talk like that, people then think, oh, you've been doing this for a very long time, but
Long time.
no, it's actually it's actually in that bit of trying to introduce bugs,
Mm.
understanding why something acted the way it did,
You did. Mm.
consistently doing that. It helped me, like it has helped me. So when I'm looking at something, I'm looking at, someone's doing an application and you're having errors, I can tell what is going on and
Going
what is
on.
wrong here because
Mm-hmm.
I developed that curiosity over time to find out.
Over
And even if
time.
I'm not even able to help you, when you solve the problem, I want to know how you did it.
Of
So
course.
you need that curiosity is very important. And you have to be someone that is always in quotes up to the task and dedicated to the
Mm.
work. So it makes you stand out. It doesn't even matter if it is software or whatever it is you are doing, it makes you stand out.
Of
Someone who is very
course.
dedicated and you're always on your feet. Do you
Mm-hmm.
understand? Yeah, so basically it's then humility
Of course.
the humility because the moment you start having shoulder pads just because you need to just because you know how to do a thing or two you as they say it in pidgin english you will fall your hand like no man's business. So you have to keep that steady state of a heart of learning,
Learning.
dedication, curiosity, and
Mm.
grit to stick
Great.
to the end. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I totally agree with everything you said. Thank you so much, Chidima, for joining this conversation. We are totally grateful. I'm sure people learned a whole lot of this. I also learned a whole lot of this. And before you leave, do you have any advice for beginners, people who want to, come into web dev? Any tip?
Okay. Okay. So basically, something I tell my students, it's not hard.
Mm.
Actually, somewhat. That's a personal view, right? So another may disagree, but it's a personal view. So things are only as difficult as you let them be.
Be.
Because guess what? It's actually someone in quotes. It's a someone. These languages didn't fall from heaven. Someone actually wrote them. It's a human being,
Definitely.
right? So it's not complicated, really. It's only complicated naturally when you want to learn a new language. Like, say you speak Yoruba and now you want to learn Igbo. Obviously, you're going to have that struggle trying to pick up some
Difficulty,
things or
yes.
two. Yes, right? But that's funny because we don't even know how these other languages started, like the normal human languages started, right? But this,
True.
we know that these are people who, yes, they are super smart.
Mm-hmm.
People wrote this too, right? So the point is, it's not hard.
Mm.
Give it a try. You can't tell your limits until you test yourself, right?
Mm. True.
Do you understand? You have to actually try to know if don't let you're not doing it. Okay, say so now you decided you really want this.
Mm-hmm.
So don't let your not doing it be from a place of, I don't even want to try. It's difficult. Let it
Mm.
be more from a place of, I've tried it and it's not my thing. I've had friends who
Same.
say, I have tried coding. It's not like I don't get it. It's just that I would
Doesn't
prefer
speak to
talking to
me.
people. Yeah, you get. So I prefer talking to people. Now, on that
True.
ground, that makes more sense
Same.
than
It's
you didn't
true.
even try and then
Right.
you just consider it just hard. And I know people have had experiences, difficult experiences. Like incident said, oh, when he started out, he was struggling and stuff like that. I said that was because the way you started. One, you were learning without the community. You need
Mm-hmm.
that. You need that.
That's
So that when
true.
you
You
start
said that
having,
earlier.
yeah, so when you start having those issues, you need mentors, a
Mm-hmm.
community that helps you, and to help your journey, to ease into your journey. And now somebody will be like, yeah, I went to so and so boot camp, and forget it is difficult. That's another plane again. That's another plane. So who is your teacher? Who is the
Mm.
instructor that started out with you? How
That's
did you
true.
start your learning? Now, these are for those who have started, but they stopped because they were discouraged. When you started out, did you have a community? If you actually went to a boot camp, what kind of instructor did you have? Was he an instructor that
True.
just set stuff and allowed you go and figure out the rest? Or did they actually walk you through it and at some point left you to actually push on your own? So
Mm-hmm.
if for whatever reason you feel is hard, just make sure it's from the place of personally it doesn't speak to me.
True. True.
But not that
True.
it's hard because I don't know if you understand
Yeah,
what
I
I'm trying
get.
to.
I get totally.
Yeah, so the point is that I know that there are people who want to start. It's not hard.
Mm.
It's a promise. It's not hard. Just get yourself a community or a mentor and you'll be fine. And just make sure it's what you want. This is what you want.
Of
Because if it's
course.
not, you're definitely not going to go far. So that's basically the part.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So you guys have heard it from Chidima. You need to want this. You need to have a community of people that you can talk to. You need a mentor and definitely you need your tools to start up. Thank you so much, Chidima, for your time. I'm
So,
grateful. We are grateful for taking our
okay.
time to join this conversation. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you for having me.
you're welcome. All right. Have a great day, Chidima. Okay, so it may interest you guys to know that registrations are currently ongoing for the next quarter that is happening in April. And you don't want to miss out on this. Trust me, and you know why. We have industry experts like Chidima who will teach you web development, content creation, admin digital tools, digital marketing, sales, and customer experience. Come on, you need to jump on this offer real quick and you know slots are fast going, so you want to jump on this. And we have a lot of uh, payment. We have quite a number of payment options that you can use, you can take advantage of. You can pay now. We have the pay as you earn. That means that you pay 20% upfront, and then as you begin to earn, you begin to pay back. We also have the student loan that you can also take advantage of, and that is on the Sterling EduBank platform. There are opportunities and perks attached to this network, and you don't want to miss out on this. So, thank you guys for joining. Thank you for tuning in. It's well appreciated. Thank you for your comments, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.